The morning sun of Kepler 442b cast golden light across the fields of New Eden Colony. Lisa Martinez stood on the observation deck of the main administration building and watched the daily routine begin. Farmers walked toward their fields while children ran to school. The mining crews prepared their equipment for another day of work in the nearby hills. Everything looked peaceful and normal. Lisa had been the colony administrator for 3 years now. She loved watching the settlement grow from a small outpost to a thriving community of 12,000 people. The colonists had built homes, schools, hospitals, and even a small theater. They grew their own food and mined valuable metals that other colonies needed. Life was good on New Eden. Jake Thompson waved at her from below as he headed to his wheat fields. He was one of the first farmers to arrive on New Eden 5 years ago. His family had turned the rocky soil into fertile farmland that now fed half the colony. His wife Karen taught at the local school, while their 2 children helped with the farm work after classes. Maria Santos walked past carrying her toolkit toward the power plant. She was the best engineer on the planet and kept all the colony machines running smoothly. The fusion reactor that powered New Eden had never failed under her care. She also designed the water treatment systems that turned the planet's salty groundwater into clean drinking water for everyone. Danny Rodriguez sat in the communications center monitoring radio signals from space. His job was to track cargo ships and passenger vessels that visited New Eden. Most days were quiet with only scheduled supply runs from Earth or other human colonies. The big transport ships came every few months, bringing new settlers and taking away the rare metals that made New Eden valuable to humanity. The rare earth elements found in New Eden's mountains were essential for building faster-than-light drives. These metals allowed human ships to travel between star systems in weeks instead of years. Without places like New Eden, humanity could never have spread across the galaxy. That made the colony important, but also supposedly safe, since it was so far from any conflict zones. Lisa walked through the settlement's main street and greeted people she knew. The baker Sam Wilson was preparing fresh bread for the morning rush. Dr. Patricia Lee was opening her medical clinic for the day. Police Chief Robert Brown was checking the security systems that protected the colony from dangerous wildlife. Everyone had a job, and everyone contributed to making New Eden a better place to live. The planet itself was beautiful, with blue skies, clean air, and vast forests filled with strange but harmless alien plants. 2 small moons hung in the sky during the day, while a ring of ice particles created spectacular light shows at night. The colonists had found no signs of intelligent alien life anywhere on the planet or in the entire star system. They were alone but not lonely. Around midday, Danny Rodriguez noticed something unusual on his long-range sensors. Small blips appeared at the edge of the star system moving toward New Eden. At first, he thought they might be asteroids or comets. But the movement patterns were too regular. The objects were artificial, and they were big. Danny called Lisa on her communicator and asked her to come to the communications center right away. When she arrived, he showed her the sensor readings. On his main screen, 12 large objects were approaching from deep space in a perfect formation. They were still 3 days away, but their size and speed meant they were definitely spacecraft. Lisa felt a cold fear in her stomach as she looked at the display. No human ships were scheduled to visit New Eden for another 2 weeks. These vessels were not in any database of known human or alien craft. The objects were massive, each one larger than the biggest cargo ships that visited the colony. They moved with purpose and coordination that suggested military organization. Danny tried to contact the approaching ships on all standard communication frequencies. He sent messages in human languages and even tried the few alien languages that humans had encountered in their expansion across the galaxy. The ships did not respond to any attempts at communication. They just kept coming toward New Eden in their tight formation. Lisa ordered Danny to send an immediate message to Earth Command, asking for information about any military operations in their sector. The reply came back within hours. No human military forces were operating anywhere near the Kepler system. Earth had no knowledge of any ships heading toward New Eden. The approaching vessels were completely unknown. As the alien ships grew closer, their true size became apparent. Each vessel was over 2 kilometers long, with sleek silver hulls that reflected the light of New Eden's sun. Strange symbols marked their sides in a writing system that no human had ever seen before. Energy readings showed powerful reactors and what appeared to be heavy weapons systems. The colony leadership held an emergency meeting in the administration building. Lisa sat with Police Chief Brown, Dr. Lee, Engineer Santos, and several other important residents. They discussed their options, but the choices were limited. New Eden had no military defenses beyond small arms for dealing with wild animals. The colony transport ships were designed for cargo, not combat. Jake Thompson suggested that the aliens might be peaceful explorers, just like humans had been when they first left Earth. Maria Santos pointed out that peaceful explorers usually answered radio calls and did not travel in military formations. Dr. Lee worried about evacuating the children and elderly if fighting broke out. Police Chief Brown said his officers were ready to defend the colony, but their weapons would be useless against spacecraft. Lisa made the decision to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. She ordered the colony's emergency supplies to be distributed to family shelters. The medical clinic prepared for possible casualties. The power plant and water treatment systems were secured against damage. Most importantly, Lisa activated the colony's emergency beacon and prepared a distress signal. The emergency beacon was a quantum transmitter that could send messages across vast distances instantly. Every human colony had one for calling for help in desperate situations. The signal would reach Earth and other major colonies within hours. Unfortunately, the nearest human military base was 15 light-years away. Even the fastest warships would take weeks to reach New Eden. When the alien ships were only 6 hours away, they finally responded to human communication attempts. The message came in perfect human language with a cold mechanical voice. The speaker identified himself as Admiral Vex Koraithan of the Zellari Empire. He demanded that all humans evacuate New Eden immediately and surrender the planet to Zellari control. Lisa tried to negotiate and asked why the Zellari wanted New Eden. Admiral Korathan explained that his people had claimed this sector of space long before humans arrived. The Zellari Empire controlled 17 star systems and would not tolerate human expansion into their territory. New Eden's colonists had exactly 24 hours to leave the planet forever. When Lisa asked for more time to organize an evacuation, the alien admiral demonstrated his power. 3 orbital mining platforms exploded in brilliant flashes of light as Zellari plasma cannons destroyed them from space. The message was clear and terrifying. The aliens had the power to destroy anything on or around New Eden. Resistance would mean death for every human on the planet. Lisa activated the emergency beacon and sent humanity's most desperate call for help across the galaxy. She included all information about the Zellari threat and begged for immediate military assistance. The quantum transmitter sent the signal to every human world and military base within 50 light-years. She could only hope that someone would hear the call and come to save her people. The alien ships settled into orbit around New Eden as Zellari troops prepared to land on the planet's surface. The peaceful colony was about to become a battleground, and 12,000 human lives hung in the balance. Lisa looked up at the alien vessels blocking out the stars and wondered if help would arrive in time to save them. Fleet Admiral Connor Blake stood on the bridge of the dreadnought UHS Retribution when the distress signal reached his fleet. The quantum transmission cut through space like a knife, carrying the desperate plea from New Eden Colony across 15 light years in an instant. Blake read the message twice before calling his senior officers to an emergency meeting. The 7th Battle Group was humanity's most feared military unit. 12 warships patrolled the outer sectors of human space, ready to respond to any threat against human colonies. Blake had commanded this fleet for 8 years, leading them through battles that other admirals refused to fight. His ships carried experimental weapons, and his Marines were enhanced soldiers that alien species had learned to fear. Captain Susan Wells arrived first at the meeting room aboard the Retribution. She commanded the heavy cruiser UHS Vengeance and served as Blake's second in command. Wells had fought beside Blake during the brutal Proxima Wars, where human colonies faced extinction from machine intelligences. She understood the price of hesitation when human lives were at stake: intelligence. Officer Rick Patterson joined them carrying data files about the Zalari Empire. Patterson had studied every known alien species that humans had encountered during their expansion across the galaxy. The Zalari were warriors who conquered other worlds through superior technology and ruthless tactics. They had never faced human military forces in direct combat. Colonel Tony Garcia entered the room last, still wearing his combat armor from a training exercise. He commanded the 42nd Marine Assault Division, known throughout human space as the Devil Dogs. His soldiers were enhanced with combat stimulants and neural implants that made them nearly unstoppable in ground warfare. Garcia had led them through campaigns that regular Marines could not survive. Blake spread a holographic display of the Kepler system across the meeting table. New Eden appeared as a blue dot surrounded by red markers representing Zalari ships. The alien fleet consisted of over 40 vessels arranged in a blockade formation around the human colony. The odds looked impossible, but Blake had faced worse situations before. Patterson briefed the group on Zalari military capabilities. Their ships used energy shields and plasma weapons that could devastate unprotected targets. Zalari warriors wore powered armor and carried weapons that fired concentrated energy beams. They had conquered 17 star systems by overwhelming their enemies with superior firepower and technology. Wells pointed out that the Zalari had never fought humans before. Human military doctrine emphasized speed, overwhelming firepower, and psychological warfare. The 7th Battle Group carried weapons that alien species had never encountered. Kinetic penetrator rounds fired at near-light speeds could punch through any known shield system. Nuclear-pumped lasers could slice through the heaviest armor plating. Garcia studied the planetary surface scans and identified potential landing zones for his Marines. The Devil Dogs were equipped with powered armor that made them faster and stronger than any known alien soldiers. Combat stimulants enhanced their reflexes, while neural implants allowed perfect coordination between squad members. They had never lost a battle when defending human civilians. Blake listened to his officers' assessments and began forming a battle plan. The Zalari expected humans to negotiate or surrender when faced with superior numbers. They had no experience with human tactical thinking or the lengths to which humanity would go to protect their people. The aliens were about to learn why the 7th Battle Group was feared across the galaxy. The fleet consisted of 3 dreadnoughts, including Blake's flagship Retribution. The UHS Devastator was commanded by Captain Frank Miller, a veteran of the Europa defense campaigns. The UHS Annihilator was led by Captain Helen Clark, who had earned her reputation fighting pirates in the asteroid belts around Mars. Each dreadnought carried enough firepower to level a small moon. 5 heavy cruisers formed the fleet's strike wing. Wells commanded the UHS Vengeance, while Captain Paul Davis led the UHS Thunder. The UHS Lightning was captained by Nancy White, who specialized in hit-and-run tactics. Captain Roger Green commanded the UHS Storm, famous for surviving a 3-day battle against overwhelming odds. The UHS Hurricane was led by Captain Linda Scott, whose crew held the record for fastest target acquisition and elimination. 4 destroyer escorts provided support and reconnaissance for the larger ships. The UHS Falcon was commanded by Commander Bill Torres, an expert in electronic warfare. The UHS Eagle flew under Commander Amy Foster, who had developed new stealth technologies. Commander Carl Johnson led the UHS Hawk, specializing in long-range missile attacks. The UHS Raven was captained by Commander Sarah Davis, whose ship could track multiple targets simultaneously. Each ship in the fleet carried experimental weapons developed in the secret laboratories of the Luna Defense Initiative. Quantum torpedoes could phase through energy shields before detonating inside enemy hulls. Gravitational beam weapons could tear apart molecular bonds in any material. Plasma fusion missiles created miniature stars that burned through anything in their path. Blake's crew included some of humanity's most experienced space warfare specialists. Lieutenant Commander Steve Murphy served as the Retribution's helm officer and could maneuver the massive dreadnought like a fighter craft. Weapons Officer Commander Janet Price had never missed a target in 12 years of combat. Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Alex Thompson kept the ship's experimental systems running, despite conditions that would destroy normal equipment. The Marines aboard the fleet were even more formidable than the ships themselves. The Devil dogs were volunteers who had undergone surgical enhancement to become perfect soldiers. Combat stimulants increased their strength and speed, while neural implants allowed them to share information instantly. Psychological conditioning made them fearless in battle, while intensive training made them unstoppable killing machines. Sergeant Lucy Hayes led Alpha Squad, specialists in assault operations and urban warfare. Corporal Matt Johnson commanded Bravo Squad, experts in demolitions and heavy weapons. Sergeant Roy Adams directed Charlie Squad, reconnaissance specialists who could infiltrate enemy positions undetected. Each squad consisted of 12 enhanced Marines armed with weapons that could penetrate any known armor. Blake ordered the fleet to jump to hyperspace immediately. The journey to New Eden would take 18 hours at maximum speed. During the trip, his officers prepared detailed battle plans while the Marines conducted final equipment checks. Every member of the 7th Battle Group understood that they were humanity's last hope for saving 12,000 innocent civilians. The fleet's reputation preceded them throughout human space. Other admirals whispered stories about Blake's tactics during the Tau Ceti campaign, where machine intelligences learned to fear human creativity. Alien diplomats spoke nervously about the ghost fleet that appeared from nowhere to protect human interests. Enemy commanders who survived encounters with the 7th Battle Group never forgot the experience. Wells stood beside Blake on the Retribution's bridge as the fleet traveled through hyperspace toward New Eden. She remembered the first time they had fought together during the Martian Rebellion, when corporate armies threatened human independence. Blake had been a young captain then, but his tactical genius was already apparent. He understood that wars were won not just through superior firepower, but through the will to use that power when others hesitated. Garcia assembled his Marines in the ship's cargo bay for final briefings. The Devil Dogs checked their weapons and armor while reviewing intelligence about Zelari ground forces. Each Marine carried enough firepower to destroy a building and had been trained to fight in environments that would kill normal humans. They had sworn an oath to protect human civilians regardless of the cost to themselves. Patterson analyzed intercepted Zelari communications and confirmed that the aliens had no idea what was coming. Their intelligence files contained almost no information about human military capabilities. Zelari assumed that humans were soft traders and explorers who would surrender rather than fight. They had positioned their ships in a standard blockade formation that would be effective against most alien species, but left them vulnerable to human tactics. As the fleet approached the edge of the Kepler system, Blake addressed his entire command over the ship's communication system. He reminded them that 12,000 human lives depended on their actions in the coming battle. The Zelari had threatened human civilians and demonstrated their willingness to kill innocent people. The response would be swift, decisive, and overwhelming. The 7th Battle Group dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the star system, like vengeful spirits returning from the dead. 43 Zelari ships detected their arrival and began moving to intercept what they assumed was a small human patrol force. Admiral Koraithan prepared to add another easy victory to his record of conquest. He had no idea that he was about to face humanity's most dangerous weapon. The Zelari troops landed on New Eden like a silver storm. Their transport ships descended from orbit in perfect formation, while energy weapons lit up the dawn sky. Lisa Martinez watched from the administration building as alien soldiers empowered armor marched through the colony's main street. The peaceful settlement had become an occupied territory in less than 6 hours. Commander Vex Koraithan established his headquarters in the colony's town hall. Zelari engineers set up energy barriers around the settlement, while soldiers positioned heavy weapons at key locations. The aliens moved with mechanical precision, having conquered 17 worlds using the same tactics. They expected the humans to submit quickly once they understood the hopelessness of resistance. Jake Thompson hid in his farmhouse with his wife Karen and their 2 children. Through the windows, he watched Zelari patrols searching buildings and gathering colonists in the town square. The aliens wore silver armor that made them look like walking statues. Their weapons hummed with energy that could vaporize a human being in seconds. Jake held his hunting rifle, but knew it would be useless against such advanced technology. Maria Santos worked frantically in the power plant to hide critical systems from the aliens. She sealed access tunnels and disguised control panels to prevent the Zelari from completely taking over the colony's infrastructure. Her engineering skills would be crucial if the colonists had any hope of surviving until help arrived. The fusion reactor continued running, but under alien supervision now. Danny Rodriguez remained at his post in the communications center under heavy guard. Zelari technicians studied human equipment while forcing him to decode message formats and frequency settings. The aliens wanted to intercept any communications between New Eden and other human colonies. Danny pretended to cooperate while secretly sabotaging systems that might help the enemy. The first executions began on the 2nd day of occupation. Commander Koraithan grew frustrated with the humans' refusal to provide complete cooperation. He selected Mayor Chris Lopez as an example and had him shot with an energy weapon in front of the assembled colonists. The mayor's last words were a promise that humanity would never surrender to alien oppression. Dr. Patricia Lee treated wounded colonists in her medical clinic while Zelari guards watched her every move. The aliens allowed medical care to continue, but confiscated all surgical instruments that could be used as weapons. She worked with limited supplies and growing desperation as more colonists suffered injuries from alien brutality. Her dedication to saving lives became a symbol of human resilience. Police Chief Robert Brown organized a secret resistance movement among the colonists. His officers had hidden weapons caches throughout the settlement before the aliens arrived. They conducted careful surveillance of Zelari patrol patterns and identified weaknesses in the occupation force. Brown knew that conventional resistance would be suicide, but gathering intelligence might help when human military forces arrived. Sergeant Ben Carter emerged as a leader among the resistance fighters. He was a former soldier from the Europa Defense forces who had retired to New Eden seeking peace. The alien invasion had awakened his military training and tactical knowledge. Carter organized hit-and-run attacks against isolated Zalari patrols while avoiding direct confrontation with superior forces. The resistance struck first at night during the colony's third day under occupation. Carter led a team that sabotaged Zalare communication equipment using improvised explosives. The attack caused minimal damage, but proved that humans could strike back against their oppressors. More importantly, it boosted morale among colonists who had begun to lose hope. Pete Johnson supervised mining operations under alien control while secretly planning sabotage. The Zalari forced human workers to extract rare earth metals at an accelerated pace with no regard for safety procedures. Johnson used his knowledge of mining equipment to cause subtle malfunctions that slowed production without appearing deliberate. Every delay bought more time for rescue forces to arrive. The aliens began taking prisoners for transport to slave labor camps in other star systems. Zalari ships arrived daily to collect groups of colonists who would never see their home again. Families were separated, as the strongest adults were, selected for heavy labor, while children and elderly were deemed less valuable. The sight of human beings loaded into alien cargo holds like livestock enraged even the most peaceful colonists. Amy Clark worked as a nurse in the medical clinic and witnessed the growing desperation among her patients. She treated children who cried for missing parents and adults who had lost the will to live. The psychological trauma of occupation was as damaging as physical injuries. Clark organized support groups and tried to maintain hope among people who faced an uncertain future. Commander Corathan established increasingly harsh punishments for any form of resistance. Public beatings became daily events, while food rations were reduced to starvation levels. The alien commander believed that sufficient brutality would break human spirit and make the colonists more compliant. He had used these methods successfully on other species, but did not understand human psychology. The resistance expanded despite the risks as more colonists joined Carter's network. Teacher Karen Thompson used her position at the school to recruit young adults who could move through the colony without attracting attention. Baker Sam Wilson used his delivery routes to carry messages between resistance cells. Even children participated by watching alien patrols and reporting their movements. Zalari reinforcements continued arriving in the star system as Admiral Corathan prepared for possible human military intervention. The alien fleet grew to over 40 vessels, including heavy cruisers and battleships equipped with the most advanced weapons in Zalari space. Corathan was confident that no human force could challenge such overwhelming firepower. The aliens began systematic destruction of anything that represented human culture or achievement. They demolished the colony's theater, library, and school while forcing colonists to watch. Zalare soldiers destroyed family photographs and personal belongings to break psychological connections to home. The aliens understood that crushing human spirit was as important as controlling their bodies. Underground tunnels that connected different parts of the colony became highways for the resistance. Carter's fighters moved supplies and people through maintenance passages that the aliens had not discovered. These tunnels also provided hiding places for colonists who refused to cooperate with the occupation forces. The underground network became a symbol of human determination to remain free. Lisa Martinez was held under house arrest in the administration building where she continued trying to negotiate with Commander Corathan. The alien officer treated her with contempt while demanding complete submission to Zalari authority. Lisa refused to sign documents that would legitimize the occupation or help the aliens locate other human colonies. Her defiance inspired other colonists to resist despite the consequences. Dr. Lee organized secret medical care for resistance fighters who were injured during sabotage missions. She operated on wounded colonists in hidden rooms while using supplies smuggled through the tunnel network. The risk of discovery was enormous, but she considered medical care a moral obligation that transcended alien laws. Her courage saved lives and strengthened the resistance movement. Communication blackouts prevented the colonists from knowing if their distress signal had reached human military forces. The Zelari jammed all radio frequencies while monitoring for any unauthorized transmissions. Danny Rodriguez occasionally managed to send brief coded messages through backup systems, but received no replies. The colonists could only hope that help was coming. As the third week of occupation began, Zalori sensors detected strange energy readings at the edge of the star system. Admiral Corathan dismissed the signals as background radiation or sensor malfunctions. His ships were focused on maintaining the blockade around New Eden while preparing for the final phase of the colonization process. The aliens had no idea that humanity's most feared war fleet was approaching through hyperspace. The colonists continued their desperate struggle for survival while waiting for rescue that might never come. Resistance attacks became bolder as Carter's fighters grew more experienced in guerrilla warfare. The Zelari responded with increasing brutality, but could not break the human spirit that refused to accept defeat. In hidden shelters and secret meeting places, the people of New Eden prepared for whatever came next while holding on to hope that their call for help had been answered. The seventh battle group materialized from hyperspace like death itself, arriving at New Eden. 12 human warships dropped into normal space at the edge of the star system in a formation that maximized their psychological impact. Fleet Admiral Blake had arranged his vessels to create the most intimidating display possible when the aliens detected their arrival. The 3 dreadnoughts formed the center of the attack formation. Blake's flagship UHS Retribution led the way with the UHS Devastator and UHS Annihilator flanking it on either side. Each massive vessel bristled with weapons that could crack a planet's crust. Behind them, 5 heavy cruisers spread into attack wings, while 4 destroyer escorts took positions for reconnaissance and support. Admiral Corathan detected the human fleet within minutes of their arrival. His sensors identified 12 vessels approaching from deep space in what appeared to be a standard military formation. The Zelari commander felt confident as he ordered his 43 ships to intercept and destroy the human intruders. He had overwhelming numerical superiority and expected an easy victory. Captain Susan Wells stood on the bridge of the UHS Vengeance and watched the alien fleet moving to engage them. Her heavy cruiser was positioned on the right flank where she could coordinate with the destroyer escorts. Wells had fought beside Blake for years and understood his tactical methods. The approaching battle would demonstrate why humans were feared throughout the galaxy. Lieutenant Commander Steve Murphy took his position at the helm of the UHS Retribution and prepared for combat maneuvers. He could pilot the massive dreadnought through space like a fighter craft, using gravitational fields and momentum in ways that defied conventional wisdom. His skill had saved the fleet during previous battles, when quick thinking meant the difference between victory and death. Zelari ships opened fire first, launching volleys of plasma energy across space toward the human fleet. Bright green beams lanced through the void, while the aliens expected to overwhelm their enemies with superior firepower. The plasma weapons had destroyed countless enemy vessels during the Zelari Empire's expansion across 17 star systems. Blake ordered evasive maneuvers as the enemy fire approached his ships. The human vessels seemed to dance between the energy beams in patterns that appeared impossible for ships of their size. Murphy wove the Retribution through the alien formation, while the other captains followed similar tactics. Not a single plasma beam found its target during the first exchange. Commander Janet Price activated the Retribution's primary weapons and targeted the largest Zelari vessel. The dreadnought's kinetic penetrator cannons fired tungsten rounds at near light speed, while nuclear pumped lasers cut through space like swords of pure energy. The alien ship's shields flared briefly before collapsing as the projectiles punched through its hull like paper. The Zelari cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash that lit up half the star system. Admiral Corathan stared in shock as his flagship disintegrated under weapons he had never encountered before. The explosion sent debris flying in all directions, while secondary detonations tore through nearby alien vessels. 3 more Zelari ships were damaged by fragments from the destroyed cruiser. Captain Wells unleashed the Vengeance's full arsenal against a group of alien destroyers. Quantum torpedoes phased through the enemy shields before detonating inside their hulls. The exotic weapons ignored conventional defenses and created devastating explosions that gutted the alien vessels from within. 4 Zelari ships died in seconds as the quantum warheads found their marks. The battle became a demonstration of human tactical superiority as Blake's fleet tore through the alien formation. Gravitational beam weapons twisted enemy hulls into scrap metal, while plasma fusion missiles created miniature stars that consumed everything in their path. The experimental weapons developed on Luna proved their worth against alien technology that had conquered worlds. Captain Frank Miller directed the UHS Devastator against the Zelari battleships, while his crew worked with mechanical precision. The Dreadnought's weapons officer had trained for years to achieve perfect accuracy in combat situations. Every shot from the human vessel found its target, while alien return fire passed harmlessly through empty space where the Devastator had been moments before. Admiral Corathan tried to rally his remaining ships for a coordinated counterattack. The Zelari had fought many battles against various alien species, but had never faced an enemy like humanity. Human ships moved in ways that violated everything the aliens knew about space combat, while their weapons penetrated defenses that should have been impregnable. The destroyer escorts harassed the alien flanks while providing targeting data for the larger ships. Commander Bill Torres used electronic warfare systems to jam Zelari communications and blind their sensors. The UHS Falcon created false targets that drew enemy fire away from the main fleet. Meanwhile, the other destroyer captains coordinated missile attacks that overwhelmed alien point defense systems. Captain Helen Clark brought the UHS Annihilator into close-range combat with a group of Zelari heavy cruisers. Her crew specialized in brutal firefights, where superior human training and equipment created decisive advantages. The Dreadnought's armor shrugged off alien plasma fire, while its weapons carved through enemy hulls like hot knives through butter. Within 2 hours of engagement, half the Zelari fleet was destroyed or crippled. Burning alien vessels drifted through space while their crews tried desperately to escape in life pods. The survivors had never seen such devastating firepower or tactical expertise. Admiral Corathan realized that his empire had made a terrible mistake by threatening human civilians. The alien commander made a final desperate gambit to save his remaining forces. He ordered his ships to take defensive positions around New Eden, while threatening to bombard the human colony if the attack continued. Corathan believed that humans would negotiate to save their civilians, rather than risk the lives of innocent people. Blake's response was swift and uncompromising. He ordered Colonel Garcia to prepare the 42nd Marine Assault Division for immediate planetary assault while the fleet continued its attack on the alien ships. The message was clear and terrifying. Humanity did not negotiate with those who threatened their people. The only acceptable outcome was complete victory or total destruction. The devil. Dogs prepared for combat in the cargo bays of the human ships. Enhanced Marines checked their powered armor and experimental weapons while receiving final mission briefings. Each soldier carried enough firepower to destroy a building and had been trained to fight in environments that would kill normal humans. They had sworn an oath to protect human civilians regardless of personal cost. Sergeant Lucy Hayes assembled Alpha Squad for the assault on the main Zelari command post. Her team specialized in urban warfare and had never failed to achieve their objectives. The Marines' neural implants allowed perfect coordination, while combat stimulants enhanced their physical capabilities beyond human limits. They moved like a single organism dedicated to destruction. Corporal Matt Johnson prepared Bravo Squad for demolition work against alien defensive positions. His Marines carried explosive devices that could level city blocks while they're enhanced. Reflexes allowed them to work under enemy fire. Johnson had served in campaigns where regular troops could not survive, and his squad had earned their reputation through countless victories. Captain Paul Davis positioned the UHS Thunder for orbital bombardment support during the Marine assault. His heavy cruiser carried precision weapons that could strike targets on the planetary surface without harming nearby civilians. The ship's computers calculated firing solutions, while the crew prepared to provide close air support for the ground forces. Admiral Corathan watched in growing horror as human dropships launched from the orbiting fleet toward New Eden's surface. The alien commander had expected negotiation, or at least some attempt to minimize civilian casualties. Instead, the humans were preparing for a full-scale assault that would turn the planet into a battleground. The Marine dropships descended through New Eden's atmosphere like falling meteors, while Zalari ground forces prepared defensive positions. The aliens had superior numbers and defensive advantages, but they were about to face humanity's most elite soldiers. The Devil Dogs had never lost a battle when defending human civilians, and they did not intend to start. Now Blake stood on the Retribution's bridge and watched his Marines approach the planet's surface while his fleet continued destroying the remaining Zalari ships. A battle for New Eden would be decided in the next few hours. The aliens had learned too late that threatening human civilians was the one mistake that guaranteed total retaliation from humanity's most feared warriors. The Devil Dogs hit New Eden's surface like a meteor storm of death and destruction. Colonel Garcia's enhanced Marines descended in armored drop pods that crashed through Zalari defensive positions with devastating impact. Each pod contained 4 soldiers equipped with experimental weapons and powered armor that made them nearly unstoppable killing machines. Sergeant Lucy Hayes led Alpha Squad in a direct assault on the alien command post in the town hall. Her Marines moved through the streets of New Eden like shadows of war, their enhanced reflexes allowing them to dodge energy weapons fire while returning devastating counterattacks. The neural implants in their skulls provided perfect coordination. As they advanced toward their objective, the Zalari defenders had never faced enemies like human Marines. Their energy weapons scored direct hits on the powered armor, but failed to penetrate the advanced protective systems. Meanwhile, the Marines' kinetic rifles fired depleted uranium rounds that punched through alien armor like tissue paper. Zalari soldiers fell in waves as the Devil Dogs carved through their positions. Corporal Matt Johnson's Bravo Squad attacked the alien detention centers where hundreds of colonists were held prisoner. His Marines carried shaped charges that could blow through reinforced walls, while their combat stimulants enhanced strength and speed beyond normal human limits. Johnson himself tore through a steel door with his bare hands to reach captive civilians. Martinez watched from her prison cell as explosions lit up the night sky around New Eden. The sound of human weapons was distinctly different from Zalari. Energy fire, sharp cracks and thunderous booms echoed across the colony as the Marines fought to liberate her people. For the first time in weeks, she felt hope returning to her heart. Commander Corathan tried to coordinate his ground forces from the command post, but his communications were being jammed by human electronic warfare systems. Zalari soldiers reported contact with enemy forces, but their descriptions seemed impossible. The humans moved too fast and hit too hard to be normal soldiers. They fought like demons possessed by the fury of war itself. Sergeant Ben Carter and his resistance fighters joined the battle when they heard the Marines landing. The former soldier led his colonist volunteers out of hiding to support the professional warriors who had come to save them. Carter's knowledge of the colony's layout proved invaluable as he guided Marine squads through hidden passages to avoid Zalari's strongpoints. The aliens had positioned heavy weapons around the colony's key facilities, but the Marines neutralized them with precision strikes. Hayes directed her squad against an energy cannon that was firing into the residential district. The Devil Dogs approached under covering fire from orbiting ships before placing explosive charges that turned the weapon into twisted metal. Dr. Patricia Lee emerged from her medical clinic when she heard human voices in the street outside. A Marine medic was treating wounded colonists while his squad secured the area. The soldier's armor bore scorch marks from energy weapons, but he continued working despite his injuries. Lee offered her assistance, and together they saved lives that would have been lost. Jake Thompson came out of hiding with his family when Marine patrols reached the farming district. His children stared in amazement at the armored soldiers who had come to rescue them. The Marines' helmets displayed human flags and unit insignia that represented hope and freedom. Thompson picked up his hunting rifle and asked how he could help fight the aliens. The battle raged through the night as Marine squads systematically cleared Zalari positions throughout the colony. Each engagement demonstrated the superiority of human tactics and equipment over alien technology. The Devil Dogs fought with mechanical precision, while their enhanced abilities allowed them to accomplish missions that seemed impossible. Johnson's squad reached the main detention facility, where over 1,000 colonists were imprisoned. The Zalari guards tried to use human shields, but the Marines' training included hostage rescue operations. Precise sniper fire eliminated alien soldiers, while explosive charges freed the captives. Families were reunited as people emerged from the nightmare of captivity in space above New Eden. Fleet Admiral Blake continued his pursuit of the remaining Zalari ships. Admiral Corathan attempted to escape with his surviving vessels, but found his path blocked by human destroyers. The alien commander realized that the humans intended to eliminate every trace of Zalari presence in the star system. Captain Wells positioned the UHS Vengeance to intercept fleeing alien transports while her crew prepared boarding parties. The heavy cruiser's weapons disabled enemy engines without destroying the ships entirely. Human Marines would board the alien vessels to gather intelligence about the Zalari Empire and its military capabilities. A final major engagement occurred at the colony's power plant, where Zalari engineers had barricaded themselves with critical equipment. Garcia led the assault personally, his powered armor absorbing energy fire while he advanced on the alien positions. The colonel's enhanced strength allowed him to tear through metal barriers that would stop normal humans. Maria Santos guided the Marines through the power plant's complex layout while avoiding damage to essential systems. Her engineering knowledge helped the soldiers neutralize alien defensive positions without destroying the fusion reactor that powered the colony. Santos worked alongside the Devil Dogs to ensure that New Eden would remain habitable after liberation. Commander Corathan made his final stand in the administration building where he had established his headquarters. The alien officer was surrounded by his personal guard when Hayes' squad breached the building's defenses. The Zalari fought with desperate courage, but they could not match the enhanced capabilities of human Marines. The battle ended when Corathan fell to a burst of kinetic rifle fire from Hayes' weapon. The alien commander's death marked the collapse of organized resistance throughout the colony. Surviving Zalari soldiers surrendered or fled into the wilderness where they would be hunted. Downed by Marine patrols over the following days, Lake allowed a single Zalari ship to escape the star system. Commander Zara Nex, Corathan's surviving lieutenant, was forced to witness the complete destruction of her fleet before being released. The human admiral wanted the Zalari Empire to know exactly what happened when they threatened human civilians. The message would spread throughout alien space that the liberation of New Eden cost nearly 2,000 colonist lives, but the survivors were free. Lisa Martinez stood in the colony's main square and watched human Marines helping with rescue operations. The soldiers who had seemed like demons in battle now showed gentle care for wounded civilians and displaced families. Amy Clark worked with Marine medics to establish field hospitals for treating casualties. The enhanced soldiers shared their advanced medical supplies while helping transport seriously injured colonists to proper facilities. The same hands that had dealt death to aliens now worked to preserve human life. Police Chief Brown coordinated with Colonel Garcia to establish security throughout the liberated colony. The Marines would remain on New Eden for several weeks to ensure that no Zelari forces remained hidden on the planet. Brown's officers worked alongside the Devil Dogs to restore law and order to their community. Danny Rodriguez re-established communications with other human colonies and Earth Command. His first message reported the successful liberation of New Eden and thanked the 7th Battle Group for their rapid response. The quantum transmitter carried news of victory across human space, where it was celebrated on every world. Jake Thompson and other colonists helped Marine engineers repair damage caused during the fighting. The soldiers' advanced tools and knowledge accelerated reconstruction efforts that would have taken months with colonial equipment alone. Working together, humans rebuilt what the aliens had tried to destroy. The 7th Battle Group prepared to depart New Eden after confirming that no threats remained in the star system. Blake's fleet had accomplished their mission with typical efficiency and overwhelming force. 12,000 human lives had been saved, and a message sent to any alien species considering aggression against humanity. As the human warships jumped back into hyperspace, stories of the battle began spreading across the galaxy. Alien diplomats spoke in hushed tones about the ghost fleet that appeared from nowhere to protect human colonies. The distress signal from New Eden became known as the call that summoned death itself. The legend grew with each telling his species throughout known space learned about humanity's protective fury. No alien government dared test whether the stories were true. The 7th Battle Group continued their eternal patrol of human space, a sword hanging over the galaxy, ready to fall on any who threatened humanity's children among the stars. In the depths of space, Fleet Admiral Blake reviewed casualty reports and prepared for whatever crisis would come next. The war fleet had answered the call from New Eden and demonstrated once again why humanity was both feared and respected throughout the galaxy. The message was clear to all who heard it. Harm human civilians at your own peril.